Senator the Honourable Phillip Alexander.
Mr. President, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to stand here today in my pink suit, according to my colleague, and contribute to this most worthwhile piece of legislation. And I'd like to thank the Honourable Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bisesa for having the vision to see this through. We have information from that side that they wanted to do this. This was their plan. They wanted to do this, but couldn't. And wouldn't. We are doing it. Mr. President, before I get into the substance of what I want to say, I just want to address the honourable senators on the other side, and I wanted to deal with Senator De Labastid's worst-case scenario of people with no ties to this country running to Trinidad because we passed this law. Now, Trinidad has, for all intents and purposes, and has had for quite some time, a negative population growth. Our experience has been of people fleeing this country. So to say that we are going to pass a law today and tens of thousands of people are going to run back to Trinidad and Tobago, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's bringing our people home and contributing to the tax collection that we've been talking about and making Trinidad and Tobago a better place. We're viewing this bill through the narrow lens of sport and forgetting the other massive contributions that Trinidadians and Tobagonians have made to this world. And that, to quote that song, Trinity to the Bone, there's no place like home, some people say, but some have to leave to make their way. And that has been the experience for a lot of people. That has been the experience of my brother. And my brother ended up in the White House in the United States of America. Trinidadians operate at the highest level all around the world. But they don't want to be away from home. It's just circumstances for people related to all of us, warranted that they go somewhere else to maximize their abilities. Along the way, their children are born outside. And those children should have a claim to where mommy and daddy come from. Viewing it just as a sports bill, while it would have, in that narrow confine, a massive impact, because in 2023, Soca Warriors head coach Angus Eve said, Chapter 2, Section 17.2 of the Constitution states that a person shall not become a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago if at the time of his birth, A, neither of his parents are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. This law, Angus Eve said, is detrimental and hampering the expansion of Trinidad and Tobago football and its player pool, while smaller nations capitalize on available players and move forward. That's just the narrow lens of football. But this will impact every other type of sport, basketball, somebody was talking about basketball, tennis, a lot of our tennis players, our swimmers. We have people that are functional in every sport all around the world. This will open the door to those who, for want of a better term, needed a help to get back here, and it will help us. It will take us higher on the global stage, but it will also bring other people in other skill sets, other disciplines, that would assist in the development of Trinidad and Tobago that, for the most part, has been stunted. I compare Trinidad and Tobago with Singapore, and I've compared those two countries for almost a decade. In 1962, both those countries' stories started. Singapore was expelled from Malaysia, and Trinidad and Tobago got independence. And we had a population of 880,000, and they had a population of 1.7 million. But Trinidad and Tobago is 7 times the size of Singapore. And Singapore's population is 5 times the size of Trinidad's population. Because they knew that to be able to play on the big stage, they had to show up in numbers. Trinidad's population could easily be 10 million people. Easily. And function, take us to that level, develop us to that level. We do ourselves a disservice if we continue to view Trinidad and Tobago as this backward little backwater of 1.4 million people. It's time for us to think bigger. Senator Dan Paul spoke about Venezuelans using this bill to create sleeper cells to detonate themselves. But I just wanted to ask, under the last administration, their government, tens of thousands of Venezuelans were legitimately allowed into this country, and they could be detonating themselves every day. What's to stop them? They don't need this bill. They're here already. They're here already. And there was no vetting. They were here, they came in, however they got in, and they gave them ID cards. What is to stop them detonating themselves? This was not a correct objection. The reality of our situation is our country, our constitution, must evolve to reflect the lived experiences of our people, especially those whose grandparents laid the foundation of this nation. This amendment allows us to honor that legacy by extending citizenship by descent to grandchildren through their grandparents. The proposed changes to Section 17.3 are precise, deliberate, and legally sound. They do not open floodgates. They simply widen the doorway for those with legitimate ancestral ties. And this is where the conversation should have gone. But we chose to look at it from the position of voter padding. For voter padding to be an issue, to affect this country, thousands of people have to come back and live here. To live here, you have to be able to pay your bills. You have to pay your rent or your mortgage, buy your food, groceries, water, transportation. So you either have to be gainfully employed in Trinidad and Tobago, paying taxes, or bring your retirement fund here when you're coming. But it's not like people could just hop on a plane, fly to Trinidad, vote, and go back. Doesn't work that way. So all of those objections, while fear-mongering, does not hold up to reality. The language of the law has been carefully amended to include grandparents and citizens by descent, while preserving the safeguards already in place. This reform strengthens our national identity, expands our talent pool, and deepens our connection with the diaspora. It aligns us with international norms, especially in sport, where eligibility to grandparents is already standard practice. This is not a political maneuver. It is a constitutional refinement. It does not grant automatic citizenship. It maintains the requirement for legal verification and lineage. It does not dilute our sovereignty. It reinforces it by embracing those who already belong to us in spirit and heritage. Say that again. Let us not be held back by fear or factionalism. Let us move forward with clarity, compassion, and constitutional courage. This is our chance to say to the world, if your roots are here, your future could be here too. Mr. Speaker, during the COVID pandemic, that was another issue that was raised. Countries in the Caribbean started renting citizenships and selling citizenships, and you could buy into any of these countries when the world realized that you didn't have to go to an office in Times Square or in Toronto or in the cold and winter. And a lot of people who have no ties to Caribbean countries. Correct. Yeah, we demonstrated that Trinidad can survive in Barbados. But the reality is the truth, that our people who are descendants of Trinidadians and Tobagonians, have a rightful claim to hear. We are correcting something that should have been corrected a long time ago. We've suffered economic downturns, recessions, hiccups that forced people out of this country. This government is fixing all of it. And if people want to come back here, it's because this government is fixing the country. It is because Trinidad is a good place to live again. It is because people are thinking that it is possible for us to end the drug trade and the corruption and all of the gang violence and madness that has made Trinidad and Tobago the failed nation it almost was. So if it is possible then for us to reclaim our people, then let us do that. This amendment is not just about legal language, it's about real lives. It's about a grandchild of a Trinidadian who dreams of wearing our red, white, and black on the international stage, but is blocked by a technicality in our citizenship laws. It's about families split across borders who cook our food, speak our dialect, celebrate our festivals, but are told they don't legally belong. They feel Trinidadian in every way that matters, and we celebrate them. This morning, Gerard Anthony Joseph was on TTT via Zoom because he is in I think it's the #1 movie right now, or getting there, President's Down, and he's the villain in President's Down, and he had to leave Trinidad and Tobago. I think it was 1987. I know, because he was my martial arts teacher when he was in Trinidad operating in St. Finbar's Church, and a lot of people knew him when he was here in Trinidad, and he had to pack up and take his family and go abroad to find his way. But we celebrate our Trinidadians when they make it on the world stage. Why can't we then make it possible for our Trinidadians to come back home and celebrate themselves here as well? This law personalizes the policies. Senators aren't just voting on a clause, they're voting on someone's future. It builds moral urgency. The law is outdated, and real people are paying the price in a time when the world is trying to erase borders. We should be doing the same. It invites empathy across party lines. Everyone has family. Everyone understands legacy. All of the above and more. I rise today not merely to speak to a clause in our Constitution, but to speak to a principle, one that touches the very heart of who we are as a nation. This is not about party lines. This is about modernizing our citizenship laws to reflect the realities of our diaspora and global families. Mr. President, we're here today to do good work. We are here today to right a long-standing wrong. For too long, we've been wandering tribes. For too long, it meant nothing to be a Trinidadian and a Tobagonian. For too long, it was too easy to have nothing to claim. This law, these few lines, this much effort today fixes that. All through this world, people could point to countries and claim belonging to a Mother India, a Mother Africa, a Mother China, a Mother Syria. But the Trinbagonians, one generation, 2 generations later, disconnected and left to wander with no claim. This law fixes, this bill fixes that. Mr. President, we are here to do good work. All of us who take pride in being a Trinidadian and Tobagonian, and make no mistake, the #1 reason for all of us being in this house doing this work requires pride in this country and love for this country. And this work we do today, these few lines of this bill, gives Trinidadians and Tobagonians, far-flung all over this globe, a connection back with home, with Mother Trini. This bill creates the opportunity for Trinbagonians who have no place else to call home, home. And when it's time for a family to look to home, this bill gives them that connection. It's not just about footballers, cricketers, netball players, tennis players. It's not about sports people. It's not even just about doctors and lawyers and every type of discipline that can advance our stake in the world, but it's about identity. This is about unifying a culture. This bill, these few words, can end the separation that politicians have used to divide us by creating an identity that now unites us. We all come from somewhere. Yes, our foreparents came from other places, but this Trinidad and Tobago is our home. And for our children and the other generations born at sea and the generations born in other lands can now apply to claim Trinidad and Tobago as home. Mr. President, that is good work. For all of us in this house, we get to have pride in our identity. This small island, we treat it with such scant courtesy and disrespect. Mr. President, I know that very few opportunities will present themselves to us to vote together for something good. This bill allows us to do that. This bill could unite this house in doing good work today. And I hope that everyone here that loves this country, that feels pride in Trinidad and Tobago, takes the opportunity here to send a message to all our people far-flung all across the world. You could come home. Thank you, Mr. President.